Good morning. I take it we're talking to Vernon Parish.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Okay, well, it's good to see y'all. Is JENEA Powell around?
Going to get it right now, sir.
Okay.
Asking the attorney to.
That's the attorney. That's the most.
The attorney to. I think it's the attorney.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She's gonna try to catch it. Yes. Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right. Good morning. Am I talking to JENEA Powell? How do you say your first name?
My name is Elvin Fontenot, roll number 05657. I was appointed to represent her at this hearing.
Okay, Miss Powell,
Yes, sir.
do you know your DOC number?
7755559.
Okay, and do you have a piece of paper in front of you that you signed by chance?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you agreed to that, but I see you have an attorney. So, and that's an appointed attorney, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, well, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Steve Prager. I'm the acting chairman this morning for the Committee on Parole. To my right is Pete Freeman. To my left is Chuck Tillis. We'll be serving as the board this morning. We're at headquarters in Baton Rouge, and the date is Tuesday, June the 3rd. The time is 8:41 in the morning. Staff, would you introduce yourselves in Baton Rouge?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay, that's the staff that we have with us at headquarters here. Would the staff there at Vernon Parish Jail, would you introduce yourselves?
Sir, I'm Assistant Warden Longmire.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for hosting us this morning. We appreciate it. And
Yes,
then we have Miss Powell with us, and we have the attorney. Sir, would you tell us your name again, please? I had a hard time hearing.
Yes, sir. My name is Elvin, ELVIN Fontenot.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, sir. Are y'all comfortable standing up there like that? Do you want to handle it just standing there like you are?
I'm fine with standing up.
Okay. The way we handle this is we share, we all get the files and the information and go over those and read those, but one person is the primary interviewer for each case. In this particular case, Mr. Chuck Tillis will go over the rule violations, and then and then we'll make a decision after we ask some questions and decide, but you'll get a chance to make your statement. And Ms. Fontenot, you can talk in a minute also and give your statement, whatever you want to say. So with that, I'll turn it over to the person on my left, Mr. Tillis.
Good morning, Ms. Powell. I'm going to read the violations and you can plead guilty, not guilty, or with a statement. You were released on 2/11/2025. You failed to report to probations and parole office to set up an intake appointment. How do you plead on that? Guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement, or?
I would like to plead not guilty with a statement because I was released on the 11th. That was my release date, but I didn't leave the facility until the 13th.
You all want to go ahead and hear us or answer?
Okay.
Go ahead. Tell us why, what happened.
I didn't have a ride. I was able to make a phone call home, but at that facility, you cannot leave unless you have somebody with an ID to sign you out. I couldn't get a hold of anybody to come up there with an ID, so I didn't even leave that facility until the 13th, even though I was released on the 11th.
Okay. Violation number 2, you failed to report to your office upon release. How do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or with a statement?
You didn't report
I didn't report because I'm not guilty.
with a statement as to why.
Same position.
Yeah.
I guess I could plead guilty to that, but with a statement, like I said, within the 48 hours, within 4 days of being released, I got put in a hospital and then I got put in long leave. So I just had a lot going on and I wouldn't even, I don't know. Just didn't even get out. The 48 hours within I was supposed to report, I was still at the facility.
Okay. Violation number 4. You committed the offense of a simple assault, which resulted in your arrest by Vernon Parish Sheriff's Office on 2/25/2025. On 4/30/2025, you pled guilty to simple battery in the 30th Judicial District Court in Vernon Parish, and was sentenced to 60 days with credit for time served. How do you plead?
I thought she pled guilty to simple assault, not simple battery. Maybe I'm in error on that, but she was arrested for simple assault. I didn't represent her, so did you plead guilty to simple assault? Okay, well, she said she did plead guilty, but it was to assault, not a battery.
She pled guilty to simple assault in the 30th court.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. She would admit that.
Say again?
I said, I assume you did that. She'll admit that she did plead guilty.
Okay, guilty. Okay. You gonna let the attorney?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Is it, y'all allow me to speak at this time?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead. No.
Thank you so much. First of all, it's my understanding and being appointed by the court, I have had an opportunity to speak to Miss Powell on a couple of occasions. I grew up here. I know her family. Apparently, Mrs. Powell has some mental health issues, and that resulted in her being sent to Lone Leaf, which is a psychiatric facility, I believe in Alexandria, Louisiana. And there she remained as a result of her behavior in threatening, I think, her mother-in-law. However, I don't believe that you were present. She was present when you threatened her, or was she present?
No, it wasn't a direct threat. It was just.
So she wasn't there, and so that you had no ability to actually do any harm to her.
No, it was more me telling somebody that I wanted to do it.
Okay, so she was not in the area or in your presence when you made those threats.
I'm not sure if she was. Yeah, she was probably at the house. I don't know.
Was it, were you, okay, listen to my question. Were you at her house or were you somewhere else when you threatened?
It's my dad's wife, and we were at his house.
Okay, was she in the room when you made those
It
threats?
was not in the room, no, sir.
Okay. Did you make any effort to carry out those threats that you made to her? And so since
Actually, I left the house.
and that's when you were sent. I assume you were PC'd by a coroner to go to Long Leaf. How long did you stay there?
I was there a week.
A week? Okay, and then when you got out, you came straight for the parish jail?
Yeah, I got picked up by refugees brought me here.
So you haven't had any mental health counseling or treatment since you were arrested in this case?
The lonely,
Other than lonely,
which is a mental,
right? Did they, were you diagnosed with any type of condition that you recall?
no, they just tried to put me on a bunch of medicine.
What kind of medicine are you on?
They try to give me Risperdal, and I'm not sure what they were giving me at that facility.
Okay, so are you still on that medication? Okay, so not on the medication here while you've been incarcerated?
They tried to put me on it, but I was. I don't like taking medicine.
Okay. So you believe that you have some type of mental health condition that you need assistance with?
I don't think that.
Okay, so can you explain why you made those statements and said the things you did? Do you even recall doing any of
I
that?
don't know, I really just got out of prison, and when I just had a lot going on.
Okay. And so as a result of that, you were PC. In other words, somebody certified you to go to this hospital, correct?
I was brought to a real hospital and then brought to.
The mental health hospital. Okay. I think that's all I have.
Okay,
I move to go into executive session.
I second.
got a motion and a second to go into executive session for just a moment. We're hearing nobody against it. We'll go ahead and do that. We're gonna be gone in the back room for less than a couple of minutes. It won't take us long.
Steve
Uh,
Freeman,
Yes.
Steve Peru,
Yes.
Chuck Tibbs.
Yes.
Okay. See what they do when you come back. And you know, if they
Okay, we're back and the time is 8:52. Just been gone a minute or two to some procedural matters. I think now, having taken testimony and statements and read the reports and everything, I think it's time to vote. Mr. Freeman, Pete Freeman, would you lead us off on the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Ms. Powell, it seems, that you do have some problems and you had a lot going on. But you did plead guilty to aggravated assault. So, today I am going to vote to revoke, but recommend that you be sent to a DOC facility for a psychiatric evaluation and follow any recommended treatment.
On a misdemeanor, I'm gonna get revoked.
Yes, you can. I don't know who told you couldn't, but you get revoked for any violent misdemeanor.
Okay, Mr. Tillis?
I concur with Freeman.
Okay, and my decision is to concur also with Mr. Freeman. That'll end this hearing. It's 8:53. I'm sorry to tell you, but you've been revoked, but you will get some help. We'll make sure you get to a DLC facility, or we're gonna request that you be sent to a DLC facility for treatment and for evaluation. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so, wait a minute, don't leave. We're gonna go. I mean, can I talk to you? Oh, absolutely, sir. I mean.
Okay, good morning. I assume that your name is TOI BREAUX. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And how do you say your first name?
Toy,
Toy? Okay, Toy
Yes.
BREAUX. What is your DOC number?
offhand, I don't know. Starts with a 7, I think.
You're right. That's it. That's it. Do you have a piece of paper in front of you that you signed?
Put a question there.
A questionnaire by chance?
No, sir.
Okay, we're gonna show you your questionnaire and see if you signed this. Did you sign that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you understood what was on that?
Yes, sir. I apologize. Good morning to y'all.
Okay, all right, well, is there anybody there from, Terrebonne Parish in the room with you?
No, sir.
Okay, no staff in there, okay. All right, well, just to introduce ourselves, my name's Steve Prater. This is Chuck Tillis and Pete Freeman. Mr. Freeman is gonna be talking about your revocation hearing. That's this fella here. He's gonna ask you some questions, go over some violations and things like that. And so having said that, we'll go ahead and get started with Mr. Freeman.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Breaux.
Good morning, sir.
Bro, I'm gonna read your violation. You can plead guilty, not guilty, with or without a statement, okay? So the first violation that you're charged with is you engaged in criminal activity by committing the charges of domestic abuse battery, third offense, and theft under $1,000 as evident by your arrest on 2/3/25 by the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. On April 17th, 2025, you pled guilty to theft under 1,000 and was ordered to serve 10 days in the parish jail. How do you plead to that charge?
I'm guilty on the theft,
Okay,
but committing the domestic, I don't agree to it.
okay. Tell me what happened between you well, let's hear from your girlfriend first. Let's see what Ms. Breaux has to say.
Hello?
Hey, Ms. Breaux, can you tell us what you have to tell us about Mr. Breaux, please?
What you mean?
Tell us what happened and why you're on this call.
What happened? Nothing really happened. There was no domestic. What I told the police was false. There was no domestic between me and him.
Okay, why did you lie to the police?
I was being ignorant.
Okay, and how did you get the black eye?
That was from the club. I went out.
From the club. You trying to say you got in a fight at the club?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, we go back to Mr. Breaux. Anything else you want to say about Mr. Breaux?
No.
Okay. All right, Mr. Breaux, tell us your version. What happened? I mean, the cop said she had a black eye and she said that you were the one that pushed her in the bedroom and hit her.
No, sir, that's incorrect.
Okay, what y'all had? Y'all had an argument or what went down?
No, sir. We was really breaking up at the time, but I didn't understand. I guess she had emotions. I don't know. I don't know what happened with that.
Who called the cops?
She did. But that charge was now processed because it had a falsified testimony on the record in the court.
On the affidavit. Okay, I have no further questions.
And the theft, might I add? I'm sorry.
Yeah, tell me about the theft.
It was a T-shirt. I'm guilty. They received it back. It's like a $3 T-shirt. My stepdaughter had grabbed it and I returned it to the people, but I took it. I told them I took it. I didn't want her to get in trouble, but I plead guilty to it. I plead guilty to it.
Realize guilty that could get you a year in jail. I mean, you're back in a year. You know, any guilty plea, even to a misdemeanor, can cause you to get revoked.
If I plead not,
Okay, that's all right. You said about the T-shirt. All right, let me ask you this. So the T-shirt was returned. Are you
Sure.
still seeing Miss Washington? I mean, Miss Breaux, Brittany Breaux?
yes, sir.
Y'all still dating?
Yes, sir.
I don't think that's not gonna be any problems between y'all two.
No, sir. I will, no, sir.
How long you been out on supervision?
For about roughly almost a year.
About a year? You got about a year.
I,
I have no further questions.
I have no questions.
You're on parole, and we don't usually go over what you're on parole for, but you're on parole for theft, right?
yes, sir.
And you got charged with theft since you've been on parole.
Yes, sir.
I don't understand this T-shirt deal, $3 T-shirt your daughter stole, but you took it back and then they put you in jail?
Correct.
You're gonna have to help me here. That don't make sense to me, because if I was people at the Walmart or wherever store it was,
It was
and
a
you
dollar
bought
store.
a shirt,
It was a dollar store, and we took off. I didn't know, and they caught us across the town, and the state troopers pulled up, I believe, or the sheriff's office, and located us. And I looked in the vehicle, and I said, "Oh, yep, it was it." And I said, "I took it because I didn't want her mom getting in trouble or her getting in trouble." So I said, I don't know how to explain it. That's what happened.
uh, all right, any other questions from the board? Okay, I think it's time to vote. Mr. Freeman, would you tell us what you think?
Okay, Mr. Breaux, I find that you violated condition number 4. You pled guilty to theft. And I vote to revoke your probation today.
I concur with Mr. Freeman.
Parole.
And I concur also, your parole's been revoked as of today at 9:12 in the morning. That'd be the last case I think that we have for Terrebonne. All right, good morning, Captain Washington. We appreciate you hosting us there. Thank you very much.
Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing this morning?
We're doing good, and I assume that fella sitting next to you is Dutch KIRKRORIAN.
I don't know who this guy is.
You don't know him? Okay. All right, Mr. KIRKRORIAN. It's good to see you. What is your DOC number?
510674.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, the way that we do these things is that we divide these up into cases, and we all study them, so we're familiar with them. But one person is your principal interviewer, and your principal interviewer today is going to be Mr. Chuck Tillis to my left. So he's going to ask some questions. But first, we're going to hear from some folks that are wanting you to get out of jail, wanting you to be paroled. We'll hear from them in just a moment. But the first thing I want to hear is what you have to say about the crime and what's happened since the crime and why you think you should be paroled. And then I want to hear from Mr. Captain Washington to find out what kind of fellow you've been, why you've been incarcerated. Okay, do you understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started with you and explain to us why you think you need to get out of jail.
For the majority of my life, I've been addicted to several different types of drugs, like lower tabs, marijuana. I drank a lot of alcohol. Prior to my arrest and me committing my crimes, my wife and I began using methamphetamines to a point to where we were not financially able to pay our rent or any bills. And at that time, my children were fixing to start going to Summerfield Elementary School, and we couldn't afford clothes or their school supplies. And so I chose to rob several different places. The first one being Flashback Casino. So what I did was I purchased a BB gun, but I'd altered it to make it look like it was real, and I used that to as an intimidation factor. Also using threats of taking their life to receive the money that was in the cash register. I also, after that, a few days later, I went to I believe it was Handy Sports Bar, and I committed this. I pretty much repeated the same situation from Flashback Casino. I wielded the gun, and I threatened the patrons at the bar. Upon leaving the scene of the crime, I had noticed that one of the patrons had left the bar and went to his truck and pulled out a gun, and so I took off running. And while I was in hiding, the response of the police officer that was coming to the crime was extremely fast. So my next robbery was GNC, and at that time I used the BB gun, and also I utilized a can of pepper spray to spray the lady behind the desk. Hold on. I used the pepper spray to give me more time so she wouldn't call the police. After that, I went to, I think it was like a day or so later, I went to another bar, and I wielded the same BB gun. And also I sprayed the ladies there with mace also. And I'm sorry. I know these crimes that I committed were heinous. And nobody should have to experience the violence that I committed. So upon my incarceration, when I entered Cattle Correctional Center, I was there for a couple months, and I was asked to participate in. They had a program going at the time, and so I accepted, and I went through several of the classes there, Changing the World, the Power Group, Parenting, and that was the beginning of like understanding that my issue with drugs was so serious and it caused so much pain that I had to do something about it. And so when I left Caddo, they transferred me to Winfield Correctional Center, and I tried to pick up where I left off with my programming and stuff like that, trying to understand why my drug use was so rampant and out of control, and I just continued that throughout the majority of my incarceration, whatever facility I was at. You know, I just tried to gain the knowledge and understanding of why or how I could overcome my substance abuse. But also, like, my record doesn't show this, but my first 12 years of incarceration, I was still a functional addict. You know, I was still using pills. I was still smoking marijuana at the time. And it wasn't until 2015, when I left the state police barracks, that I knew that when I left the barracks and I arrived at Winfield, that's when I realized that Dr. Cole Flournoy, he had a thing at Cattle Correctional Center, and it was one of our lessons, and the title on the front of the page was "I am my only problem." And he used to always say that to me. He'd always tell me, Dutch, when you realize that you were your only problem and you finally take the steps to get out of your own way, that you will be very successful no matter where you're at, whether you're in prison or when you go home. You know, you'll be able to combat the cycle of addiction that's plagued your entire life. So in 2016, I met the chaplain of Winfield, and he was starting a program called Celebrate Recovery Inside. And I became a mentor. After a year, I became a mentor. And then in 2016 or 2017, I'm sorry, I'd relapsed. And we sat down, and instead of him sending me to the cell blocks or giving me a contraband write-up, he told me that he would give me one last chance, you know, to combat my addiction. And so that's what I did. Every single day, I just looked in the mirror and I just thought about my kids and how successful they were. Also, visualizing my ex-wife and her addiction and her success that she was having going back to college. And all the pain and suffering that I caused my family and my victims because of my crimes. I just couldn't live that life no more, and it was time for a change. And so Since that time, I've been 2,879 days clean. I've graduated from Ashland University with my bachelor's degree. I graduated cum laude, and I also am a part of Lambda Pi Eta, which is a graduate with honors in communication. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, sir, and I appreciate you giving Dr. Flournoy a shout out, because although he's not with us any longer, he's deceased now. He worked for me for a number of years at Caddo Correctional, and he was a wonderful man. And I will tell his widow that his reputation continues. So I appreciate you mentioning that to him. Okay, let's hear the folks that are here that do want to say something in favor of you getting out. What about Mr. Andrew Hunley? Mr. Hunley, would you talk to us a minute?
Yes, Andrew Hunley, appearing on behalf of Louisiana Parole Project, here to let the board know that Dutch is a client of our organization. Obviously, you're going to hear from our staff attorney very shortly, but I wanted to be here today to let you know that we've invested, quite a bit of time in Dutch over recent years. If he were to be granted parole release, we would wholeheartedly take him in with open arms and make him a member of our reentry program, where he would receive wraparound services, not limited to, but including access to our staff social workers who've been working with him on a long-term sobriety plan. In addition to that, he would have access to our reentry housing program. It should be noted that Dutch is committed to starting anew, and he agrees that he doesn't think it would be the best reentry plan to relocate to Caddo Parish, but to start his reentry in Baton Rouge and be a long-term client of our organization as he works to rebuild his life in a new community. And our organization would agree to take him on as a long-term client. Dutch, and I should note that I've personally known Dutch for approximately 15 years. He is a very skilled plumber, among other maintenance trades. He's served over 20 years of a 30-year sentence, having done 2/3 of his sentence. He would be eligible for good time release in 5 years. We think at the age of 48, he's really turned a corner over the last 8 years, as is noted in his sobriety. But we think that he still has an opportunity to come home. He's got a few years left of being a young man where he can earn a living, and we're committed to, while he has a job offer, we're really confident that in our program he would be able to save his money, begin to rebuild his life, and he'd be a really good employee for someone and be able to work towards a retirement. In closing, I just want to reiterate, we feel like Dutch, if given a chance right now, he would be a good neighbor, and our organization stands by to offer him long-term reentry support. We know that not only would he not go back to prison, but he would be an asset in the community, be a good employee for someone and a good member of a new community. But we agree with Dutch in his wisdom that he should start in a new community, and we'll offer him that in the Baton Rouge area. And I stand by to answer any other questions that the board may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. And we will hear next from, let's change it up a little bit, and let's hear from Kelsey. Are you going to talk to us, Kelsey?
Yes, sir.
And then we'll hear from Ms. Hutchison.
Well, we have Miss Terry, because Michael will speak also. And then. Yeah.
I mean, we don't have her on list, but she can talk.
All right, thanks.
Sure. Yes, ma'am. We'll hear from you first, and then we'll hear from her.
Yes, sir. Good morning. My name is Kelsey KIRKRORIAN. I'll be speaking on behalf of myself and my brother KIRKRORIAN.
Okay.
For almost 24 years now, we've had the privilege and sometimes the challenge Upon the name as Dutch Gregorian, BOC number 510674, simply down. Standing here and sharing our family's journey isn't easy, but it feels so important for me to see the real person our father is beyond what's on paper. Even with miles and yes, prison walls between us, he's always been a constant in my life. He's a person I can be completely honest with, even when it's about his choices that have affected me. He's never brushed at all. Instead, he's offered his perspective to help me understand things and cope. His support has always felt like a steady stream, always there. He's my rock, a loving dad whose heart just seems to reach right through any barrier. He's just my dad and I love him. Growing up had its challenges with my dad's incarceration and my mom stepped out with addiction, which he also faced. I still have those vivid memories from when I was little. The shock of finding things you shouldn't, seeing my mom change, and the feeling of everything being so unstable. It's not something any kid should go through, but even in that darkness, there was still a spark of hope. I saw my parents both hurting, decide they deserve to heal, and realize they're worthy of all things good. Today, my mom and dad are incredible proof of that. Both of my parents have their degrees and have worked hard to become who they are today. My mom was actually the director of the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse in Shreveport, helping people through the very things that she and my dad went through. Their life isn't just a story, but it's a powerful testament to things they're around. My brother Caleb, he just everything too. We share a bond that goes very deep, and honestly, he's felt more like a father figure than just a brother. Growing up without our dad present had its weight on him, no doubt, but he channeled that into an incredible resilience, becoming someone I truly look up to. He's a Kosher Parish deputy on the SWAT team, and right now he's serving our country so bravely with the Louisiana Army National Guard as a commissioned officer. He's in Germany prepping for a year-long deployment in Eastern Europe. And my heart swells with pride when I think of him and the man he's become despite everything that we have been through. As for me, I teach fourth grade at Johnny Bickle Middle School in Caddo Parish. When I look at my students, sometimes I see a bit of my own childhood in their eyes. And it means a lot to me, not just to teach them, but to connect with them and let them know that they're not alone with whatever struggles that they go through. Having my dad in my life outside of those walls is something I dream about. My wedding is coming up on October 4th, and ever since I was a little girl, I wish for him to walk me down the aisle. That's a dream that could actually happen. I'm also graduating. I'm graduating with my master's in December. That's something I wanted to be there for. He's never seen any milestone in my life. For me to walk across the stage, that's something I wanted to be there for. And I've always pictured sharing that with him and having him reach with that truly complete. Members of the parole board, I've shared our family's journey, struggles, and enduring the hope that we hold. We believe in the man that my father is today. Beyond his past and the good that he can bring to our future, we find strength in our faith and the promise of redemption. I'd like to share a Bible verse with you that has helped me through a lot of these things. In Proverbs 3:5-6, it guides us. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he'll make your path straight. We trust in God's timing and we follow the decision. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, I'll let y'all decide who goes next now. Please introduce yourself to us. And
Hi, I'm TERREBONE. I'm deputy.
okay.
I'm Terry, and it takes a minute for me to stand here before you today and talk to you about my son, Dutch. He's not just a statistic, he's a person. He's a son, he's a brother, and he's a dad. Who has fought a relentless battle against long-term drug addiction. a battle deeply rooted in a childhood marked with emotional abuse. For too long, his addiction held him captive, robbing him of his potential, casting a long shadow over his family. I won't sugarcoat the path that through choices that led him to this point. Choices born from the agonizing growth of addiction. But to truly understand him, you must understand the environment in which he grew up. He experienced emotional abuse that chipped away at his self-worth, leaving deep wounds that festered and made him vulnerable. He sought solace, however, misguided in drugs, a common tragic response to extreme pain and trauma. He hurt himself and he hurt us. But today I'm here not to dwell on the past. I'm here to speak about the profound transformation I've witnessed, the unwavering dedication he has shown to reclaiming his life. And now he has bravely confronted and healed from the very source of his pain. Over the past 20 years, Dutch has embarked on an incredibly difficult journey of recovery. He has not only addressed his addiction, but he has also courageously confronted the emotional scars of his childhood. He has learned to process his past without resorting to destructive coping mechanisms, embracing every opportunity offered to him, which you can read in the brief provided by his attorney. I've seen a deep change in him during our visits and calls. The light in his eyes, which dimmed for so long, has returned. He speaks with clarity, with remorse, and with a genuine desire to make amends and contribute positively to society. He understands the gravity of his past actions and the responsibility he now carries. In fact, his growth has been so intense that even while incarcerated, he has helped me with my own journey. When I shared my fears with Dutch about my own struggles with food addiction, he shared with me about Celebrate Recovery. He explained that it wasn't just for alcoholics and drug use. It was for anyone with hurts, hang-ups, and addictions. Through his own healing, he has been able to guide me in my journey. And thanks to him, I am now attending Celebrate Recovery meetings. He has shown me that healing is possible for everyone touched by addictions. And his journey has inspired my own. He has the complete support from his family. But when the time comes for him to make his entrance back into society, we know his journey won't be easy, but he won't walk it alone. We are committed to being there for him every step of the way, to every challenge and to every triumph. Granting Dutch parole isn't just about releasing him. It's about giving him the chance to prove that the hard work that he's done inside has truly paved the way for a new beginning. It's about allowing him to use his painful experience to help others, to become a testament to recovery, and to rebuild the trust he lost. He has learned from his mistakes, he has paid his debt, and he is ready to be a responsible, contributing member of our community. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Ms. Hutchinson, would you do that? And then we'll go to Captain Washington after you to hear what kind of fellow he's in, and then we'll turn it over to Mr. Tillich.
Thank you, Board. Adrienne Hutchinson, attorney for the Louisiana Parole Project, representing Mr. Dutch KIRKRORIAN. Dutch comes before the board having served 20 years of his 30-year sentence, roughly 67% of his sentence for his crime, which a crime he committed, he admitted to committing, right? The brief you received, the comments from his family, the comments from Dutch all detailed to you Dutch's background on addiction, and I'm sure that's available in the record as well. But what I think is remarkable before you today is Dutch's honesty. As he stated, his record doesn't reflect his true addiction, but he came before you honest that he's almost 8 years sober, even though his record would have indicated something different. It's because it's the longest he's ever been sober since his adolescence, and it's his proudest moment. The ladies you see before him being part of his motivation, and as his daughter stated, his son who's watching from Germany, helping guide him through there. I know you've heard a lot about Celebrate Recovery. He exposed his mom to it, and it has been truly the foundation of the program that kind of helped him see the change. So I know the board is big on, especially with someone with Dutch's background in substance abuse, having some form of long-term substance abuse treatment. His initial stint in Celebrate Recovery was a 10-month program. From that 10-month program, the Department of Corrections picked him to be a facilitator of it, and then he was a house leader, which was, he was voted to by his peers. So I think that shows you that both the people he was incarcerated with, plus the people in DLC saw that he had made that pivotal change. So he had about 3 years within that program at DLC. So what has come from Dutch's sobriety? A relationship with God, teaching classes like Experience and God and participating in those classes. His ability to work and live at the Louisiana State Police Barracks, which I know you all know, only takes about 1% of DLT's top individuals with minimal disciplinary infractions and a skill set. As his mother stated, his newfound confidence, right? In the solid relationship he's been able to build with his family, his education, and his daughter didn't even talk about having to be on the phone with him and teach him how to do formatting for his papers. Or even when he transferred from Winfield to the barracks and his laptop wasn't set up for Wi-Fi yet, and still being able, when he got it back up in 3 weeks, to tell his teachers, I promise I'll catch up, and still graduate with Latin honors. He was nominated and invited to serve on the Department of Safety and Commission's PAIL Advisory Committee. But most importantly, he has an understanding of his addiction now and a relapse plan. And so if I can, I want you to understand what we're looking to do at the Louisiana Parole Project with him and with that plan. We found a Celebrate Recovery program actually in Baton Rouge. They have a men's group at a particular church, 8 p.m. or 6 p.m. on Wednesday nights, where Dutch will be able to go back into the program that has done well and worked well with him. As Andrew said, he's a long-term client with us, so we will also have our social workers. He was offered a job in the city, but he also, when he was in Caddo, he had done an apprenticeship with the local 151 union out there. So he had done the 5 years. He's done about 7 years of plumbing work at the barracks. So with his job, we hope to be able to connect him to the local union here, so he can go back through kind of a refresher with the apprenticeship so that he can get his certification. And then I implore you to ask him about his long-term plan and what he wants to do with that and with his education, because he does have long-term goals. As you see, he has his family support, and they're willing to drive to come see him and set up roots here. Because Dutch knows that his crimes were horrible and that the pain and suffering caused his victims. It's why his sobriety means so much to him. It's why his relationship with God is important, and it's why he doesn't plan on going back. Because he's worked so hard to not be that person again. As Andrew stated, at the end of the day, Dutch will eventually come home. His sentence just dictates that. But I think it's the perfect opportunity to allow LPP to build on the success that he's already started. And as the facility manager wrote in the letter that is attached in the brief, that is his manager at the barracks, Dutch provides both professionalism, dedication, and a positive influence in any environment, and will contribute meaningfully to society. And so we ask that you give him a second chance today and allow LPP, the Parole Project, to facilitate that second chance to success. And if y'all have any questions, Amber and I are here.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Now we'll go to Captain Washington, and let's you probably know this fellow as good as anybody. So you tell us what kind of fellow he is.
Well, I mean, we could talk all day about what he's done inside and outside of prison, but the thing that you can't see is his heart. Ms. Hutchinson mentioned that his proudest moment was his 8 years sober. Not to challenge her because she's kind of scary, But I would say his proudest moment was when his kids were there to see him graduate college. I see them, I see him, I see how he is when he's around them. And he's a different person having them in his life. And for me, that's way above any work or any job that he could do here. Because being able to be a father, a true father, inside of an institution, that's a challenge, as you well know. And I'm proud to say that he's doing a great job. Thank y'all.
Good report. Okay, your turn, Mr. Phillips.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good. Thank you, sir.
All right. Listen to what's been happening here. You know, our job is for public safety, to make sure that you're reformed and remorsefulness. I see that and a good record. And listening here today, I really don't have any more questions. I want to commend you for what you've done.
I just have one question. Captain, did he finish the pre-release? It says on the top of our page he didn't finish it. The 100 hours?
We're waiting on,
So yeah, the guy we have here hasn't been certified to teach it yet. But before he is actually, his parole date gets here, we'll have it. I assure you. We'll have it completed. Yes, sir. Because he's got another 2 months, I believe, before he can actually go on parole.
Okay, I just wanted to let that cover.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have no questions.
And I had one question. Did I read the reports correctly? And I should remember this, but you had a BB gun, right?
yes, sir.
Wasn't a real.
No, sir. I took the, if you buy a BB gun, I bought it from Walmart, and BB guns come with the orange inside.
Yes, sir.
I broke the orange off so it looked more realistic.
Okay. All right. That's the only question I got. Are y'all prepared to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Tilly?
My vote is to grant.
Okay.
My vote is to grant to the parole project where you're to follow any treatment or recommendations that they have. And you gotta complete the 100 hours prior to release,
Yes, sir.
pre-release.
All right. And I concur. So I think that it's a good day for you. Your hard work is paid off. And so I believe you think that's all we got to talk about at this hearing. This hearing is over at 9:52. Thank you, Captain, for having us.
Thank y'all.
Okay, good morning, Iberia Parish. Are you there? There you are. Good.
I'm here. Yes, sir. We just try not to bother y'all till it's time.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Is IESHA SEREAL there?
She will be right in front of you in just a minute. I gotta get around to that room.
Okay.
Open visiting bonding, please. Open visiting bonding, please. One moment, sir. I'm gonna be in here with them. Okay. You're ready. How you doing? Good. You're all board ready to visit. Let's see if we can get this.
All right.
I'm on. What is this? That's your papers. They're all there.
Okay, is your name? Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Is your name IESHA SEREAL?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what is your DOC number?
727594.
Okay, and do you have a waiver in front of you, a piece of paper that you signed that deals with your revocation hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you signed that, you understand everything that was on there? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you are at Iberia Parish, and would the staff here introduce yourselves, please?
Yes, this is Sergeant Laura Tarver.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Ms. SEREAL, the way that we handle these is that each one of us have a certain number of cases. And in your particular case, Mr. Tillis is the lead interviewer on your case, and then we'll all vote after we ask questions about whether your parole should be revoked or not. So having said that, we're going to get into the interview in just a minute. But first off, I'd like to hear, I think from the, since that's the reason we're here, is Cheyenne Wright, a parole agent, probation parole agent? Is Miss Wright or Ramey? Have I got it written down wrong?
It's right.
Okay, Miss Wright, would you tell us what you have to say about Miss SEREAL?
Oh, I didn't hear you. Cut out a little bit, sir.
Okay, would you go ahead and tell us what you know about this case and what your recommendation is, please?
Sure. Yes, sir. She was, let me pull up my motion here. Okay, the reason for the revocation hearing,
yes, ma'am,
was she engaged in criminal activity on about February 3rd of 2025. She was charged with aggravated second-degree battery. Since then, these charges were dropped, but the parole board wished to continue for the hearing.
Okay. All right. And if you just
on the
okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The report, she also tested positive for THC, methamphetamines, and cocaine.
All right. Okay, well, we appreciate that, and we may have some more questions for you in just a moment. And
yes, sir.
Having gone over that, I think it's time to talk. Let Mr. Tillis begin his interview.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine.
I'm going to read the violations, and you can plead guilty or not. Huh?
We can make a question.
Oh, okay.
Did you see the question there? Okay.
Excuse me?
No, we're ready.
We're getting things straight here and we interrupted Mr. Tillis and I apologize. Mr. Tillis, go ahead.
Gonna read the violations, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Violation number 4, you can plead guilty or not guilty or with a statement. It was alleged you engaged in criminal conduct on January 16, 2025 by committing aggravated second-degree battery for warrant obtained on January 17, 2025 at the New Iberia Police Department. On February 3, 2025, the 19th Judicial District Attorney's Office refused the charges of aggravated second-degree battery under the docket 2025 CRR 131. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Okay, tell me why.
Because I was falsely accused. My friend was intoxicated and he was just, I don't know what state he was in, and he ended up, I don't know.
Did you hit him or do anything to him? Did you hit him?
No, sir.
Okay, so he's lying?
Yes, sir. Well, he was intoxicated. I don't know what was, he was under the influence of something, and he went back and he told him the truth that I didn't do it. I knew I didn't do it. He told him the truth that I didn't do it.
Okay.
He was just intoxicated for, in another state. I left the home. That was my friend. And he came get me from my home as usual, as we usually do get together at times, and he was having a get together. So I went, but it just wasn't right. The environment wasn't right, so I left. He was like, you might as well just go. So I left. He said, if you want to go, go. And I left. So none of this had took place while I was there.
I see. Okay, thank you. Violation number 10. It's alleged you failed to submit monthly payments toward your supervisional fees. You are in arrear of $278. How do you plead?
I plead guilty. I was working. I even did a little community service while I wasn't working, just to keep busy till I found a job. And when I found a job, it was only a seasonal job. A lot of applications I filled out and went on interviews. Some of them wouldn't hire me because of my background. And I did try. I kept trying to find work. And when I finally got that job through a staffing company, it was only a seasonal job. So the job didn't last long. But before I started working, I was doing community service, and that wasn't even a stipulation for me to do. I was doing community service at St. Francis Diner just to keep myself occupied. I even have the papers from the diner signing it saying that I even did community service too. When it came from my excuse me?
No, go ahead. Go ahead, finish.
When I did the preliminary hearing, my mother had brought the papers from the St. Francis Diner saying that I did community service before I even started working. When I came home, I looked for jobs. I went on several interviews, but I was turned down because of my background. And the one that I did at Revocation in New Iberia, Louisiana, it was only seasonal.
Okay.
So I was in.
I have no questions.
Okay.
I have a question. The story is kind of real hard to believe. So you went over there, he brought you over there. You didn't cut him up with a box cutter, but he ended up all cut up. And he had asked you to leave. And he calls the police, and when they get there, he's all cut up. So how he got all cut up?
It was several people there. It was a get together. And I left.
Okay. I have no question.
Oh, executive session, please.
Let me ask you a question, then we can help. Okay, how did he get cut up? We got all kind of pictures of him cut up.
Yes, sir, but I'm not sure. I was not there when this took place. I had it left. It was several people there. It was a get together that he had in his home, which I've been to several times. But me and him was going, I figured he was on something else, so I said I was going anyway. He said, well, then you might as well go. And I left. He came get me from my home. It was more than me there. It was several people, but none of this took place while I was there.
Does Miss Wright, are you still on the Zoom call?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
I haven't heard the hearing like you've heard. Do you have anything else you could tell us?
No, sir, everything's been discussed.
Okay. All right.
What do you plan to do if you're released?
Well, I was planning on going back to the staffing company. See, before this, with this whole falsely accusations and all this took place, I was about to start school. I had got the paper from Miss Cheyenne from the, when I went to go see her on my, my Monday visit to her. I got a paper from her for going to go to school, trios, something like that. And I had to contact the people. Before the people came get me, I was about to start school. I had already contacted the people, gave them all my information and things like that. And I had another job interview that I was supposed to go on that Thursday that I didn't get to attend because of this.
Let me ask you this. How long have you been on parole?
How long have I been on parole?
Yeah.
Since June 30th.
Okay, do you plan to get back together with your boyfriend?
No, we're no longer talking because of this situation right here. I can't be involved in it if involved with him if he's gonna stay intoxicated and full of this and that and this is gonna happen. I'm trying to get myself together and I can't do that with this on my side.
Okay.
That's why this is supposed to move in together, but with things going the way that it was, I never went.
Okay, thank you. We're ready. I think we're ready to vote.
Yeah, my vote is to do not revoke.
My vote is not vote. We have no evidence and, Mr. Washington, I will say I'm gonna add the condition that you stay away from him. You go back around him, I'm gonna revoke you. Okay?
Yes, sir. I plan to. I already told him. He
Okay, that's
contacted.
good. I wish you good luck. Wish you good luck. You're not getting revoked today.
Okay, and I concur with their decision. So you're not being revoked today. Stay away from that guy, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I have a blessed day.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wright, also. Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Thank you.
Cheyenne, does she need a report when she leaves today?
Have a report tomorrow, actually. That'd be fantastic. You heard me okay, Tarver? Oh, I can't hear y'all.
Before lunch tomorrow, right?
Okay, we are at Riverbend, is that correct? Is that where you are? And your name, Mr. Breland? Okay, y'all are muted. Was somebody with the staff maybe can help you? It's muted. Okay, I think we can hear you.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, before we get started, Mr. Breland, is anybody, I see somebody with the staff there at Riverbend. Would you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Lieutenant Jonathan.
Okay, Lieutenant, thank you for hosting us there. Justin Breland, what is your DLC number?
582182.
Okay, and I see you have a piece of paper in front of you there. Do you have your waiver, your revocation?
Yes, sir.
That you signed? Okay, well, let's get right into this then. The time now is 10:16 and it's the third day of June. And so we're at Baton Rouge at headquarters. My name's Steve Prater and I'll be conducting the interview with you. And we got some rule violations that you're accused of violating. The first one is rule number 2. And it says you last reported to your parole agent on the November of 2019. Is that, how do you plead on that?
Guilty.
Okay. All right. And rule number 3, your address change. You didn't keep up with your address changes. Guilty or innocent?
Guilty.
Okay. You got arrested in Mississippi for CDS, controlled dangerous substance. That's a violation number 4. How do you plead on that?
I'm fighting that charge, but guilty. I was arrested.
Okay. You owe $4,503, violation rule number 10. How do you plead on that?
I believe that should change if they get my time right, but guilty.
Okay. And number 13, you hadn't made any effort to get your GED and you're supposed to be doing that.
Guilty.
Guilty, okay. Do you have any statements you'd like to make?
Yes, sir, if I may.
Sure.
At first, everything was going good. You know, I was working, I was making my payments, I was making my visits. And then with the effects of COVID, work got short. I started struggling to make my payments. Then my mom got sick, so I was struggling to make my visits like I was supposed to. And then my old life started creeping in again and tempting me, and it got really hard to fight the temptation. And I felt like the best thing for me to do was to leave. You know, I mean, sometimes we make the wrong decision to get to the right place, and I feel like that's what I done. I made the wrong decision by leaving and not fulfilling the obligations of my parole, but it's kept me away from the drugs and just kept me clean and sober since 2014 and away from that lifestyle. And also DOC has my time messed up. They got me sentenced to 14 years and I got the paperwork that says my sentence is only 9 years. So my parole should have been over in 2022.
We don't do time.
Understood.
Okay. All right. What were you through with your statement? I didn't want to interrupt you, but I don't want to get into your time calculations because we don't do that.
Yes, sir. I just keep it short and honest. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions.
What about the drugs found in that vehicle? You didn't know about any of them?
No, sir. Like I said, when I originally left Louisiana, I went to Florida to my sisters. And I went to Mississippi for a visit. And I went for a ride with an old friend just to catch up, and we got pulled over, and apparently he had drugs in the vehicle I was unaware of. I didn't have anything on me. I've been clean and sober since my arrest in 2014.
Yeah. I have a question.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, that's about all our interview that we have. Mr. Breland, I don't, although I applaud that you've been healthy since for that long and stayed off drugs, at least that's what you say. You have violated rule 2, 3, 4, 10, and 13. And that's about half all the rules that there are when you get out. So you violated all of them for a long time. And so my vote is to revoke.
I concur with Mr. Prater.
I concur.
Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, but your parole's been revoked today, and that'll end up this hearing at 10:20. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Minor. Your name is Emmett Minor, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
And we're here for a revocation hearing. And what is your DOC number?
581376.
Okay, that's correct. And do you have a waiver form in front of you that you signed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's your signature on there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you are currently at Ouachita Correctional Center, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is there anybody in the staff with Ouachita here in
Yes,
the
sir.
room? Would you tell us your name, please, sir?
Good morning, it's Deputy Marchand.
Okay, thank you, sir, for hosting us. And I see a gentleman seated next to you. And what is his name? Or, sir, what is your name?
My name is John Roa. That's ROA. I'm appointed attorney.
Okay, you're appointed attorney.
Yes,
okay,
that's correct.
All right, thank you, sir. Well, the way that we conduct these hearings, and of course, I think you can see our name tags of who we are, so we won't go through the formalities of all of that. But we're in Baton Rouge at headquarters, and we assign one of these. Each one of us is assigned as the primary interviewer, but we're all familiar with the case and have read a lot of things about it. And so your particular case has been assigned to Mr. Freeman. So Pete Freeman will go over the rule violations that you're accused of violating and ask any questions, and we will, and then we'll vote. Okay, so Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Mr. Minor, it is alleged that you engaged in criminal activity on or about 12/26/2024 when you committed the offenses of domestic abuse, battery, disturbing the peace by fighting, interfering with emergency communication, and a warrant for contempt of court. On 3/30/25, he pled guilty to the amended charges of disturbing the peace and interfering with emergency communication. You were sentenced to serve 90 days in the Ouachita Parish Jail with credit for time served from January 7th, 2025. And how do you plead to that charge?
Plead guilty to disturbing the peace.
All right. We'll get in, I'll ask you some questions later, so we'll get into that more. And then your other violation is that you failed to pay supervision fees for the month of October through March. You are currently $378 in arrears. How do you plead to that charge?
I plead guilty.
Okay, Mr. Minor, first off, you have some people here that want to speak on your behalf. So first, we're going to hear from Ms. Morrison.
Yes, I'm his mother.
Okay, what do you want us to know about him, Ms. Morrison?
Okay, for his parole, paying the fees, he was trying to get himself together, but like I told him, he got to pay something. I don't care what it is. If it's $50 a month, $25 a month, give y'all something, because it got to be paid on that part.
Okay.
And for the other charges, okay, the warrant that he had, there warrant should have never been on him, for one thing, because he did time on that warrant, which what the judge's name is, Tammy Lee did see that. That's why she just dismissed that charge. Okay. And on the new charge that he did take, and he pleaded guilty to what, simple battery or something, or disturbing the peace.
Yes, ma'am.
I told him, don't plead the guilty. Get it over with. You got to get out here. Like I told him, for one thing, when if he be released, I'm gonna take him to go get his medication. My son been taking medication at the age of 5 years old. They would not let him come to school without his medication. He does take medication. I'm gonna get his medication for him. Make sure he take his medication. He's gonna be living with me. I'm gonna help, and I still got his job lined up for him, so it would be no reason you save your money up, but pay that parole board. You get them what they need or what you're supposed to pay. Save the rest of your money up, because I'm gonna help him get him another apartment.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sutton, is that you, Ms. Sutton?
Yes, that's I.
Okay, what do you have to say?
Yes, so it seems that when we had our disagreement, our argument the night of, he seemed like he was under a lot of stress. And I know that I was under a lot of stress, and we were trying to keep up with paying the bills for our apartment. And when he got out of prison, he got his apartment for us very fast. And I think that that's commendable on his part. And he has shown signs of growing as a person, but he's just been having some trouble regulating his emotions from the stress. And I know that I have schizoaffective disorder, and this affects my ability to process different things and to handle high levels of stress. But I think he might be diagnosed with some of the same things that I have because he's on the same medications that I take.
All right, Ms. Sutton. Let me ask you this, Ms. Sutton. Did he hit you?
No.
Yeah, you're not lying to me.
That was fabricated.
That was fabricated.
No, that was fabricated.
So he didn't hit you with his fist. Well, why did he throw your phone?
No, sir. The phone, he didn't destroy my phone neither. That's what I was trying to tell to the people. I had wrote a statement. That's what I was trying to tell them. But my phone was destroyed by somebody else. And this person was a neighbor of ours. And they was getting into our business. And I told them, I want you to stay away from our house because you're causing too many problems. You know. And I've just been trying to get this situation under control and everything.
Okay. All right, let's go back to you, Mr. Minor. You tell me what happened that evening with the fight. I'm not that worried about the fees. I'm more worried about the other charges. So what happened?
You know, it was just an argument between me and my fiance, and you know, I used to have company come over. I'm be honest, I had company come over. I'm be honest, I got caught, you know, cheating. I'm be honest with you, I ain't gonna sugarcoat. I got caught cheating, and you know, it get led to an argument between me and her. You feel me? And we just wanted everybody to stay away from our apartment and everything, stuff like that. Like I said, I was stressed out a lot. I wasn't taking my medicine. Now I'm back on my medicine. Since I've been incarcerated, I'm back on my medicine and everything, take my medicine. And, you know, it gets a little stress. It wasn't nothing physical. You know, I did not put my hands on or nothing, sir. I did too much time to be out there breaking the law. I'm gonna be honest with you, sir.
Okay. So you did plead guilty to disturbing the peace. Why did you plead guilty to interfering with emergency communication? Your lawyer can help you out with that if you want.
Well, I was not part of taking that plea at that time. But his mother just said that she told him to do that. I don't know why. I would never advise that. But I think he wanted to get it behind him. I mean, because these were misdemeanors. Disturbing the peace is probably more what happened than a domestic abuse battery, from what everyone is saying. I do want to note that the protective order was dissolved prior to his taking the plea, and then the charge was reduced by the assistant district attorney. I do know that he was ordered when he was first sent to 72-hour hearing for the charges that we're talking about. The judge ordered him to see a physician about his medication. Man, he had to do it like within 72 hours. He did. He went to a mental health facility, got his meds, and he's on his meds right now. They're giving them to him here at the correctional center, and he's a different person. I mean, he's calm. He's in control of himself when he's on those meds. And so he is, like his mother said, the job is still open for him.
Right.
All these months, they're still keeping it open for him. And the protective order was completely dissolved by the judge over the case. And he and his fiance are still planning to be together. So I think all these factors tend to favor his release on parole. I mean, he's also done the majority of the time. I think it's something like 12.5 years of a 15-year sentence that he's already done. So it's not like he's just started the sentence. This is, the majority of it he's done already. And I would just request that you look hard at granting him parole for this, and so let him get back to his life that I think he's got set up now.
Was that protective order in place when these charges were filed?
No, that was issued for those charges after he was arrested.
For those charges. So when was the protective order for? What, I mean, it was against this victim?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was the protective order there when you got out of prison?
No, sir.
Okay, it was gone by then?
No, it was on this charge right here. The new charge they gave me.
Okay, that's when the
I
judge
did.
told you had to stay away. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it right here, sir. The protective order, trying to see the date that it was put on. I have the date. Oh, it was, the protective order was put on him on December 27th, 2024. I think that was a day or two after he was arrested, because he was, I think, arrested on Christmas Day. And in February of this year, it was dissolved by the judge.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Full-time date.
Full term date is 1/30/27, and he's been in for what, how long? 6 months now?
Yes, sir.
6 months on this charge, so that'll give him 6 months off there. Thank you.
I'm no questions.
Okay, you ready to vote?
Okay, Mr. Minor, problem is you did plead guilty. You know, people keep thinking that they can plead to misdemeanors and it's not going to affect them, but that's not true. So, you pled guilty to disturbing the peace and interfering with a communication officer. I found you guilty of violating condition number 4. I order that your parole be revoked and that you hopefully be sent to a DOC facility and get your mental health meds back correct.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay, wait, we're voting right now. Let's finish the voting.
I concur with Mr. Freeman.
Okay, and it just takes 2 votes, 2 of the 3 on revocation, but I concur also, which makes 3 out of 3. So I'm sorry to tell you, but at 10:38 this morning, your parole has been officially revoked. And we appreciate that. End this here and at 10:38.
Sorry about that.
Okay, good morning. Good morning. We're going to Ouachita Parish. And we're wanting to speak to Misty Foley.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Okay, and what is your DOC number?
418135.
Okay, and is anybody in there from Ouachita Parish with you?
Yes, sir.
Would you introduce yourself, please?
Good morning again, it's Debbie Marchand still.
Okay, thank you for hosting us this morning. Okay, Misty, we're here to talk about your parole request. You're wanting to get on parole. Mr. Freeman has your case, and we'll turn it over to him to go ahead and get started with the questioning, and then we'll pick up any questions that we might have.
Yes, sir.
Foley, state your name and DOC number for the record, please.
Misty Foley, 418135.
Okay, Ms. Foley, you're here today for a parole hearing. Your parole date was 2/28/25. Your good time date is 2/27/26, and your full term date is 8/27/32. You were given a total of 10-year sentence for theft, forgery, and theft. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Foley. Tell me, why do you think we should let you out today? What did you do and why should we let you out?
What have I done since I've been incarcerated?
Ma'am, first tell me what did you do to get yourself incarcerated?
Oh,
And then tell me what you've done since you've been incarcerated.
okay. I was charged with theft of and monetary goods. I just things got out of hand, and I didn't handle the things that I handle money the way I should have. In a timely manner. I was overwhelmed, and I take full responsibility for that.
So what was your charge? What were you doing? You were scamming people?
No, well, I wasn't scamming people. But I did take money from people, and I did not do the things that I had promised them in a timely manner. I used the money for other things.
Okay, what you use the money for?
I used the money to buy diesel, and I used the money I gave money to people that, needed things that weren't part of what I had promised.
Okay.
I gave money, to other families when I should have taken care of the families that I had promised to take care of first.
Were you doing any drugs and any alcohol?
No, sir, I've never done drugs.
Okay, and why do you think, what have you done since you've been in prison?
I've taken the time to work. I've been the chaplain's trustee. I was on the yard crew in Tallulah. I kept asking to get into any and all classes, but they told me I wasn't eligible until a certain date. I was 2 years of my sentence. I was pre-trial. I've came to work release. I'm a forklift driver at Berry's Plastics. I work 140 hours every 2 weeks. I lost my father a month before my sentencing. And I want to get home to help my mom financially and support and her grief and give me time to start my grieving process.
Okay.
I'm going to continue with my job if I'm able to if I'm able to keep that job, being that it's in Monroe. If not, I have a job, 2 different job opportunities. I have a job at Turner Industries in the refineries in Lake Charles, or I can go back to working for McDonald's. I was a manager there, and my job's been offered back to me.
Okay, all right, now we're gonna.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm gonna be living with my mother and grandmother.
Okay. We have, Mr. Quint Lanier, a big nephew. Mr. Lanier, what do you have to tell us? You're on mute, Mr. Lanier.
All right, what I want to say is, when she was down here, she would do alcohol. She said she wasn't on drugs and alcohol, but she did alcohol. She took money over $200,000 from a population of 3,300 people, and she took money from several people to rebuild homes that they had to put up so much money. My uncle had to put up $17,000.
That's not true.
Do not interrupt while he's speaking. Keep going, sir.
So my uncle put money up. Another guy that I'm speaking for is Tracy Lacoste. He put money up. The other people put money up, okay? This money that she's saying she gave to other people for other things, she didn't. Because everything that we gave, I was helping her at the time, and I'm the one helped bring her down. She might not know it, but she knows it now. Because when I found out what she was doing, I don't believe in that. And I don't think, every time she's done it, she's done this more than one time. She's done it in Texas, she's done it in Lake Charles, and she's done it in here. She denies it every time. Here we are back in hurricane season 3 days ago, January 1st, and it's time for her to be looking at parole. And what's going to happen if we get a hurricane and she goes to another distribution center and scams all these people again?
Sir,
So
what was she doing? You said you asked her, I mean, you knew what she was doing. What was she doing?
at first, she was just doing food distribution and stuff to help the people in the community. That I cannot deny. She's done a great job. And then she got greedy and started to try to help people rebuild their houses. Okay, so she went to the people, and I think she had help, and she didn't want to throw nobody else under the bus, but she went to the ones that couldn't read and write, really. And she talked them into giving her money, and they would get a new house out of it because they had to pay 1/3. Samaritan's Purse would pay 1/3, and another group would pay 1/3. And then she kept telling them, well, your house is in Homer. Like my uncle, she'd say, your house is in Homer. We just got to wait for the permit. We got to wait for this. The house was never, ever. Because I went to Minnesota to talk to these people, and they don't even know Misty Foley.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your statement.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ms. Foley, I read your case thoroughly, and that is what happened. It was a natural disaster. You were getting money from people promising that what was it y'all call it? The pastor's army would help and get the money. You know, you were on supervision. You were released in 7/5/22. You were returned in 2/26/24 because of a new felony conviction. How long totally have you served on the 10 years?
He's on mute.
You're on mute. Unmute, please.
Can you unmute yourself?
I think he did it
Okay. How many years did you serve?
3 years
Okay, 3
on the
years.
12th.
Okay. And I do want to state for the record that there were numerous other victims opposed, Melanie and Vivian Burnett, Kayla Bowie, Jeanette and Samuel Small. You know, so I just wanted to know that, and then all law enforcement is opposed. I have no further questions. Any of my?
I have no questions.
No questions. I think it's time to vote, Mr. Freeman.
Okay, my vote is to deny. This is a terrible offense happening when people couldn't take it the most. And you have a history since 1998. All you've ever done is issue worthless checks or scam people. So my vote is to deny.
I concur with Mr. Freeman.
And I concur also. As of 10:58 this morning, on June the 3rd of 2025 that your parole request has been denied.
Thank you. But why can't I?
Yes, sir. Your name is Mr. Antonio Fitzgerald. Is that correct? You're on mute, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Antonio Fitzgerald,
And your DLC number?
762412.
Okay, and you're at Claiborne Detention Center, correct?
Yes, sir.
And who from the staff is in Claiborne, from Claiborne is there with you?
Carmen Nixon, I'm the transition specialist.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being there and thank you for hosting us today.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fitzgerald, you're seeking parole. You want to get out and we know you've been charged with some pretty serious things. I need to know why you think you should be eligible for parole. Tell us some of the things that got you there and how you feel about it and some of the things you've done since you've been there.
Okay. Hanging around the wrong people was one of the things that got me here. and letting them make life choices for me rather than making my own choices. And also being on drugs, which is marijuana, and making life bad choices through life. And since I've been here, I became a hall man. I worked on the hall. And also, after 3 months of working on the hall, and I went to classes and stuff, obtained substance abuse, parenting, and Mass 1 certificates. I'm now work release, and I've been working right here in Claiborne Parish for like 3 months now. And I'm ready to get back out there and continue doing something productive with my life. Also raising my son and helping the rest of my family members out, sir.
Okay. And how long have you been incarcerated?
Ever since September of 22.
Okay, see, you've just been in jail for 3 years, correct? Basically about 3 years on this charge?
On this charge, yes, sir. On the distribution of marijuana, sir.
Okay. And the distribution of marijuana also got you revoked, did it not, on the armed robberies, correct? Or
Simple burglaries.
Simple burglary, but in fact you were charged with armed robberies, weren't you?
Yes, sir.
And you pled down to burglary.
Yes, sir. Upon them not wanting to go to trial.
Okay, and that was in 21, right?
Yes, sir.
So in just the last 4 years, or let's give you 5 years, we'll give you a break on the number of times. You've been charged with 3 armed robberies, which were pled down to 2 counts of burglary, a distribution of marijuana that you got 3 years, the burglaries you got 12 years, and you're already up for parole. After all that, you violated your probation, or you violated your parole. No, you violated your probation on the armed robberies, correct?
No, sir. Violated my probation. Yes, sir. Through the distributions. Yes, sir.
Okay, by the distribution. Okay, have you had any substance abuse treatment?
Yes, sir. Well, I went through the classes that I obtained a certificate in.
And what class is that?
That was a substance abuse class up here at Claiborne.
How long was that class?
The class has lasted for 3 months.
Okay.
8 weeks. 8 weeks.
8 weeks, and you got
Yes, sir.
you got a certificate for having passed that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what about your pre-release programming? Have you had that?
No, sir. I haven't had no pre-release programming.
Okay. All right, just so you know, the DA opposes it because it was a plea deal. Anyway, you got plea deals throughout your criminal history. 2 different sheriffs oppose it, chief of police opposes, attorney general opposes. Okay, just so you know that. All right, panel, is there any questions?
I have no questions.
Okay, I think it's time to vote. In this case, it's mine. Mr. Fitzgerald, I appreciate you and the work that you've done while you're there and you know, trying to lead a good life and all, but I just can't vote to parole you with the numbers of crimes, serious crimes that you've committed and taking plea deals on each one and now wanting to get out so quickly. So my vote is to deny your parole request.
I concur with Mr. Prater.
I concur.
Okay. I hate to tell you this, but your parole has been denied. The time is 11:03 in the morning. The date is June the 3rd, 2025.
And we need to get you moved to a place where you can take your $100 and get your substance abuse evaluation. That'll give you some more good time, but you have to have them prior to release.
Okay.
It'll get you somewhere where you can take those classes.
Yes, sir.
They offer them there. Do they offer them there?
I'm pretty sure they do.
Okay, well, you need to take those classes. Make sure that they get you on that list.
Yes,
You're
sir.
coming right back up.
Okay, I'm coming right back up. Okay.
Too long.
Won't be long, 28.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 26, no, 28. Okay, well, anyway, that'll conclude this hearing. That'll conclude today's docket. I believe that we're through. Time is 11:03. It is June the 3rd, 2025. We're signing off from headquarters in Baton Rouge. That'll be the end of the committee on parole for today.
Well, that was that.